You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
This has been a very competitive race at the top of the ticket for both the Republicans and Democrats, and a lot of attention on the campaign. So it makes sense that there's more early voting and absentee voting.
The most anticipated midterm elections in years, from statewide races for governor and Senate, who will represent the Suncoast in Congress and in Tallahassee. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on our midterm election preview in a moment, but first, our top stories at 7. This time, you can't say the race for governor has been boring. 24 hours from now, we will learn if Florida will elect the state's first African-American governor or the former congressman who can thank President Trump for making his political career. This weekend, Democrats roared past Republicans in the early vote. Today, Republican gubernatorial candidate Ron DeSantis in Jacksonville says he'll make it up on Election Day.
If our Republican voters come out on Tuesday like we think, that we will be successful, and I think that that's very, very good.
Democratic gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum visiting Parker Elementary School in Bay County this morning to greet students. Today marks the first day back at school for more than a dozen Bay District schools following last month's Hurricane Michael.
I'm here the day before Election Day because I want this community to know that they're not going to be forgotten. That the recovery effort will likely, without a doubt, go over into the next administration. And it's important to have a sense of how these communities are being impacted and what we can do to make sure that these areas are back to 100% in no time.
Gillum has also scheduled stops at the Panama City Marina, a church there, and the Sunrise Worship Center in Mariana. Now, if you're looking to watch tomorrow's election results with your neighbors, there are several watch parties on the Suncoast. The Minnesota Black Chamber of Commerce is hosting one at the 6:30 at the 720 Club. The Sarasota Democratic Party is also hosting a watch party at Michael's on East at 7. The Republican watch party will be at the Hyatt at 7, and all those TVs will be tuned to ABC7 for election results. Hope you can watch. The Parkland massacre was 9 months ago, but there is an effort to make it front and center tomorrow. The gun control advocacy group March for Our Lives held a Get Out the Vote style event on the steps of the Florida State Capitol today. Dubbed Vote for Our Lives, the event targeted more than 34 million registered young voters. The group spent 9 months registering and engaging voters after the Parkland shooting massacre. A vigil was held at Florida State University yesterday for the victims of the yoga studio shooting in Tallahassee. 61-year-old FSU faculty member Nancy Van Vessem and 21-year-old FSU student Maura Binkley were killed in the attack. Several others were injured, and the shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Binkley's father spoke about the cruel irony of his daughter becoming a victim of gun violence.
And I remember calling and saying, Dad, I'm going down to the Capitol. I'll be there with the students from Parkland, the parents, and the other people, and to whatever. She had a mature outlook about change, but she, however I could contribute to change here, I'll do my best. And she became a victim. It's a cruel irony.
The shooter was a military vet who worked for a short time as a high school teacher. In the past, he had been charged with battery for allegedly groping women and had previously posted videos online with titles like "Why I Hate Cops" and "The Rebirth of My Misogynism." In the wake of that shooting in Tallahassee, at least one Suncoast Yoga studio is increasing security. Owners of Pineapple Yoga Studio in Burns Court now plan to start locking their door before a yoga class begins. Robert Karachi says it's a shame it has come to this, but he says he can't afford to put clients' safety at risk.
What we've done now is we've instructed the yoga instructors to lock the door upon arriving at the class, making sure that they're vigilant around what's going on in the outside area in the courtyard.
He also says he's asking instructors to double check the area in front of the building before class begins. He expressed condolences for his counterparts in Tallahassee. Now let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Well, it's an hour earlier, but still spectacular. ABC7 Tower Cam on this evening showing the sunset going down right around 5:44. Yes, it is early, but boy, some spectacular colors that you see right there. And the rainfall that we see right now, that's the old frontal boundary. It's a warm front now. It was a cold front on, again, Friday, Saturday, but now that warm air has moved in right over us, and we're talking high temperatures into the mid-80s here on out, I think, through this rest of the work week. With that kind of heat and just enough moisture in the atmosphere, you can count on a few isolated showers. We saw that today. They were very isolated. Not many people got the rainfall. This is slowly drifting to the north, but notice how it's weakening. We expect this front to fall apart over north central Florida and fade away. And we'll stay under the influence of that east to southeasterly wind flow, which brings up higher humidity and also warmer temperatures. We're expecting highs about 5 degrees above average, or average high at 81. Now, as far as the rest of the Gulf of Mexico is concerned, a little bit more action way out there in the Gulf. Current conditions, we do have mostly fair skies. The temperature still pretty warm at this hour at 76 degrees, and the humidity fairly high at 91%. The temperature and the dew point temperature getting close to one another with calm conditions out there as far as winds go and clear skies. You can get some fog forming, and we may see some of that throughout this evening and during the early morning hours. Warm week ahead, as I mentioned. We're talking about a cold front coming down on Saturday, Sunday, bringing with it a little bit more cloudiness and chance for showers. And then the models are hinting at some much cooler air moving in next week, midweek. We'll have more on that coming up in a few minutes. Alan?
Thanks, Bob. We are less than 24 hours away from the polls closing here. For those of us in Florida still on Eastern Standard Time, and nearly 40% of Floridians eligible to vote in tomorrow's midterm elections have already cast their ballots.
Republicans and Democrats on this day agree on one thing.
Without our votes, we cannot win.
If they don't vote and enough people like that do not vote, we cannot win.
The time for persuading voters is over. Now it's just a matter of getting people to the polls. But how many votes are left? Florida has been shattering records with early voting, which today passed 5.1 million. The split right down the middle, with Democrats holding a slight lead. This is a departure from 2014, when the GOP ended early voting with a 3-point lead. Meanwhile, in the background, independent voters accounting for almost 1 in 5 of early votes. So how does this 5.1 million compare to previous midterms? It's not even close, with this year more than doubling the early vote from 2010. As far as the electorate, women make up the majority, with 2/3 of early votes coming from white voters. Meanwhile, thanks to a federal judge, colleges and universities have polling sites this year. With Miami-Dade running away with the collegiate total, Florida is beating Florida State, and UCF winning the Battle of I-4.
In the moment, the former chairs of both the Sarasota Republican and Democratic parties and one of the best-known radio talk show hosts in the Tampa Bay area at the Trapezoid.
Know your land, know your prey. What are we doing?
Saturdays at 5:30 and Sundays at 2 on the ABC7 live stream.
Blue 32, Blue 32, hut hut. It's the Ghetto Gridiron Challenge. The game's on to sell 2,000 vehicles. 12 teams compete for the #1 spot. Score a great deal at every Ghetto dealership. Buy with 0 down. Make no payments for 90 days. Choose from 14 of your favorite brands, all on sale. Who will make it to the end zone? You decide. Rush to a Ghetto location near you or visit Ghetto.com. Ghetto's got it.
I heard about the Detoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Detoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Recovery from mental and substance use disorders is real.
You can recover.
It's possible. It happens every day.
Never give up on yourself.
Discover hope and help.
The world is a beautiful place again.
Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Keep up with the Suncoast. Watch your favorite ABC7 shows on your streaming device.
Welcome back. We know what the polls say. We also know what the polls said back in 2016. And today, Hillary Clinton is a grandma living in Chappaqua. But two new public polls, one by Quinnipiac and the other by Marist, show Democrat Andrew Gillum leading Republican Ron DeSantis by 6 to 7 points. And in the U.S. Senate race, Senator Bill Nelson leading Governor Rick Scott by almost identical margins. Over the weekend, Democrats caught up and took over Republicans earlier in voting statewide. So what does all this mean, and what does it mean for all those down ballot races for Congress and the state legislature? Joining us for more are Tram Hudson, the former chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, Rita Ferrandino, the former chair of the Sarasota Democratic Party, and Dan Maduri of News Talk Florida. Welcome to the midterm elections pregame show. I'm wondering, Dan, what you think of the early voting totals. As I just said, Democrats surged past Republicans this week. Ron DeSantis tried to put a good spin on it earlier today. Let's take a look.
I'm going to be focusing on Florida's issues, but I do think it's very important that the governor have a constructive relationship with the administration in Washington. Because if you think about what Florida needs, transportation, we've got to work with Washington. Our water resources, we have to work with the federal government. Our military, I mean, just think about, Andrew Gillum signed a pledge to support a manifesto saying cut military spending. Are you kidding me? How is that going to be good for Northeast Florida with our key bases? I mean, I'm a veteran of serving in Mayport.
So basically he's saying that it's not going to help Florida if Governor Gillum has an antagonistic relationship with the president.
Yeah, I mean, I think that...
I said mayor. I said governor. I meant
yes. I noticed that, but I didn't want to bring it up, Alan. But the fact of the matter is I would love to play poker with Ron DeSantis because he cannot keep his hand to himself. You can tell that he's visibly nervous. You can see the quirks there. He's tilting his head funny. He doesn't really think that they're going to make up these numbers on Election Day. He's got to be shocked that the Democrats did, in fact, outpace them in early election. I mean, this is record turnout, and Democrats have outpaced Republicans at their own game, no less, mail-in early absentee ballot. I mean, that's incredible. It's an absolutely incredible thing to see, and Gillum is going to bring a whole bunch of new voters to the polls, so I don't know how DeSantis sits there with a straight face and says, we're going to make it up.
And Rita, you've been involved with a statewide phone banking effort, a massive effort to get Democrats to the polls.
I haven't been this excited since I can't tell you when. And I think the reason I'm most excited is because it's Republicans that are calling me saying, we are voting for the first time down the Democratic ticket because we have to stop Donald Trump. And I think that this election is really a big referendum on Donald Trump. And there are a lot of people crossing over to say enough is enough. The only way we stop this is by voting for Democrats. And I think you're going to see that right here with David Shapiro against Vern Buchanan.
Yeah, I would say that early voting and the vote by mail has been around since 1998, and we have seen a steady increase, regardless of the election, in the number of voters taking advantage of that. And currently, right now, there are about 5.1 million early votes statewide. Compared to the midterm of 14, there were 3.3 million, and I would say that it will split pretty even because what's happening is we are cannibalizing our election day voters because we're taking so many of those.
We only have a few seconds left, but Congressman DeSantis did say that the real GOP super voters, those who come out all the time, they come out.
They will show up.
Yeah, but when we just did an analysis of the people of the electorate who have voted, there's only been, on the Republican side, statewide, 12,663 new voters that they added to the rolls, and that's the big problem they've got.
We have to take a quick break. Our conversation on the midterm election preview continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Everyone can vote on this. It's beautiful out there today, and we have a little warm temperatures, but nonetheless, things are going to stay pretty warm too. We have a frontal boundary, a warm front, continuing to move off to the north right now. That warm front has brought the warm air to the south and the cooler air to the north. Our warm temperatures continue now to the south of that front. And it's going to be muggy too, and there's a possibility of getting some fog forming. This fog will be patchy at best with clear skies, light winds, and the temperature and dew point getting close to one another. That's always a recipe for some fog, and severe weather possible now over Louisiana, parts of western portions of Mississippi tonight. The severe weather could be tornadic at that too, as a frontal boundary from this low pressure area continues to gain a lot of moisture there, warm temperatures out ahead of it, and potential for severe weather. Temperatures right now, sun is set an hour earlier and into the mid-70s now. 76 in Sarasota, it's still 83 in Key West and in the 70s as well in the Miami. Temperatures around town here, we have 80-degree reading in Lake Placid and 79 in Sebring. Temperature 77 in Inglewood. Northport, you're at 78. Same as the Gulf water temperature, which has cooled now to 78. So the forecast through this evening calling for some patchy fog. We will see some cloudiness around now and again, but look for partly cloudy skies. Temperature still holding into the low 70s. Our overnight lows will be pretty close to right around 72, 73 degrees in places, and that is more summer-like than we are looking at late fall. Here's the forecast front. You can see severe weather possible again tonight into northern sections of Alabama and into Mississippi, all the way down into Louisiana. This front gets down close to Florida, and then it pulls up stationary. So it's not going to blow through and cool us down, at least not now. But by Saturday and into early Sunday, there's indication that this front will get down to us and bring us a chance for a few showers over the weekend, and then some cooler air could filter in next week. In fact, long-range models are suggesting that we may see a couple of cold fronts will bring the big chill our way come Wednesday and Thursday of next week, but that's a long way off. So the forecast tomorrow looks like this. We will see partly cloudy skies throughout the day. Temperatures warming to above average or average high at 81. It'll feel warmer too due to the increased humidity with that wind out of the southeast. Currently, as I said, temperatures are warm right now. We have fair skies. The high today did get above average, 84. Our normal high at 81 degrees, and this morning's low was warm at 70. Well, the National Satellite and Radar picture showing a pretty big storm system now brewing over the central U.S. into Missouri, and that is spreading off to the east now. Some big storms heading in that direction. It's kind of nasty day in New York and spreading up toward Boston. Temperatures currently pretty chilly over in northern portions of the United States, into the 30s and 40s there over the northern plains. 51 in Detroit and Toronto at 50 degrees. Highs tomorrow will be into the 20s and 30s. That's some of that colder air that's bottling up now and gaining some strength and a foothold over the northern plains and northern Rockies. Some indications are that we may start to see some of that colder air filter our way come Wednesday and Thursday of next week. South winds turn to the southwest for boaters. Not much out there as far as wind goes. We'll see seas running less than 2 feet for the most part. And the extended forecast shapes up like this. So we'll see a warm week ahead. We're expecting temperatures to be into the mid-80s all the way through Friday, right around 86, 85 degrees. Talk about that front over the weekend. It comes down, gets close to us, gives us a chance for a few showers. Won't do a whole lot, but it will cool things down to back near average by Sunday and Monday of next week. Alan will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
Chris Domine is a husband, father, an athlete, even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris's kidneys were failing.
The doctor said if you don't do dialysis, if you don't get a kidney transplant, you are going to die.
Then Chris received a second chance, made possible by an organ donor.
Your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
Imagine what you could make possible. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
America was built on a love for the outdoors. We are a nation of sportsmen, blessed with magnificent natural resources. With broad interests across water and field, we are united in our devotion to nature and conservation. Join us every week for the best shows celebrating the outdoor lifestyle. Outdoor America. Live
this weekend on the ABC7 live stream.
Being empowered starts with getting informed, looking closer. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. But many of us don't know there are different types of breast cancer with different characteristics. That was me. Learning about the specifics of my diagnosis gave me the confidence to make informed treatment decisions with my doctor. This meant everything to me and my family. So take another look. Ask another question. Learn more at notonetype.org.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Welcome back to the midterm election pregame show. Joining us for more, Tram Hudson, the former chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, Rita Ferrandino, the former chair of the Sarasota Democratic Party, and Dan Maduri of News Talk Florida. So Dan, we just showed earlier 2 public polls almost identical from the governor's race to the Senate race in terms of what, showing the, Senator Nelson and Mayor Gillum with 6 to 7 point leads. But you personally think that Rick Scott has a better chance of beating Senator Nelson than DeSantis beating Gillum?
I do. I think that Rick Scott's run a superior campaign to Bill Nelson. I
don't even know what his campaign is.
Well, his campaign is money and all about the money, right? He's dumping it in there. I also think that Rick Scott is a cold, calculating businessman. He's all about ROI and return on investment, and I don't think he pumps in $12.5 million down the stretch of his own personal income if he doesn't think he's got a shot to beat Bill Nelson. Plus, I think the ads that they've taken out have been far better than Bill Nelson.
Well, a couple of things, Rita. Number one, there have been a lot of Democrats and a lot of analysts who have said that Andrew Gillum is the best thing that ever happened to Bill Nelson.
Absolutely, and I have to say, I got an alert on my phone today about the beach hazard of red tide, and I could barely breathe today.
Red tide,
so
Rick,
that's the problem. That's why Rick Scott's put $12 million more, and do not ever underestimate the man's ego. So first of all, I think it goes down. I think Gillum and Nelson are a clean sweep tomorrow night.
But I'll tell you one thing. Watching both these men, and Rick Scott, he's been hardened by 8 years of being governor. Bill Nelson has been in Florida politics for some 40 years. I can't tell you what this campaign has been about. I mean, I've seen the ads. I know that Bill Nelson flew on the space shuttle, and I know that Rick Scott was in the Navy and has a lot of grandkids. I mean, what else do you have?
I think Rick Scott's trying to showcase his leadership. That's why he keeps bringing up the idea of the hurricanes time and time again. He's trying to talk about how he's a current leader for the Republican Party and a current leader for modern times, where Bill Nelson is an aged old, whatever kind of car he put up there and showed it age over time. So, and going back to your point, I do think that Rick Scott is a disciplined candidate. He's willing to do whatever it takes to win. He'll sit on the phone for 20 straight hours. I don't know if Bill Nelson does that.
Tram, you have some numbers there showing really what the...
Go back to, if I can get your cameraman to zoom in on my chart here. I wanted to go back to the point that Rita was making. If you look here, the voter registration numbers, and this is from the Secretary of State's website this morning, shows clearly the Democrats have 4.9 million registered voters. We've got about 4.7. The NPA's 3.5 million. The fight is really to turn out your base and then go after the NPAs.
Right. Well, what's different this year, Tran? Because, I mean, those were basically where things lined up 4 and 8 years ago, and the Republicans, whether it's Rick Scott or, for the last 8 years, have won those NPAs, but the Democrats are taking a bigger share this year.
Well, I think we'll wait and see tomorrow about that, because I think that Rick Scott has demonstrated over 8 years that the state of Florida has recovered from a very, very tough recession here. Rick Scott, I think the leadership that he exhibited during the hurricanes, people recognize that. And I think they look at Nelson, like you said, what has he done? He's ridden on a spaceship, and that's about it.
And the one...
We just have to take a quick break.
But I didn't get to say anything.
The prompter says right there, we're just getting warmed up. Our conversation on the midterm elections continues right after a quick break. Stay with us.
There are lots of people who are confused about which Medicare plan is right for them.
Hey, that's me. I barely know where to start.
Well, start here with me, Karen. I'm a licensed Humana sales agent.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Karen. I'm John Smith.
Hi, John. At Humana, we know you're unique, so you have different needs from other John Smiths.
Yeah, I've always thought so.
And together, we can find a plan that's right for you.
Great. I go to the doctor a couple of times a year, and I have some prescriptions, but I'm never fully sure of what's covered and what's not.
With Humana's all-in-one Medicare Advantage plans, you get coverage for hospital stays, doctor visits, and Part D prescription drug benefits, all for an affordable and sometimes no monthly plan premium.
Do you have any more information?
Sure. I'll get a decision guide in the mail to you today. They're free.
Finally, someone who understands the real me.
Your health and happiness is important to us. Call or go online now to get your free decision guide. Call a licensed Humana sales agent today.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Many websites selling medication may look professional and legitimate, but the vast majority of sites selling prescription drugs are doing so illegally. Criminals use websites to sell counterfeit medications that may contain life-threatening toxins. .Pharmacy is a website verification program that helps you identify safe and trustworthy online pharmacies. Purchasing medicine online can be safe and easy. Just look for pharmacy to the right of the dot in website addresses.
Are you a food lover, restaurant goer, or home cook? Then check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, and helpful step-by-step videos. And you'll love the restaurant guide with direct links to your favorite Suncoast eateries. Whether you're cooking in or dining out, whet your appetite with tasty tips from Chef Judy at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Florida's coral reefs are declining. Bad news for our oceans and marine life. Fortunately, you can help, and you don't have to dive, you just have to drive. When you purchase Moat's Protect Our Reefs license plate, $25 goes directly to Moat Marine Laboratory, whose research, restoration, and conservation programs are helping this precious natural resource thrive once again. So get your Moat Protect Our Reefs license plate today. You just might hold the key to saving Florida's reefs.
ABC7 News at 7, weeknights. You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back to the midterm elections pregame show, and joining us for more are Tram Hudson, the former chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, Rita Ferrandino, the former chair of the Sarasota Democratic Party, and Dan Maduri of News Talk Florida. I want to talk about the national environment and how that now relates to Florida. I was on David Jolly's new show on your station, Dan, last week, and we talked about the phenomenon that, around the country, you have Republican incumbents running for Congress in districts that the president won by something like 20 points that apparently are going down to defeat tomorrow. The polls show that much, but we're not seeing that in the congressional races here in Florida. And Rita, why not?
Well, first of all, I think there's been a big turn of the tide has turned nationally toward the Democratic wave. We felt once the tragedy in the synagogue happened, people started to really go, no more, we have got to stop Donald Trump, we have to stop the madness. And then when we had this terrible yoga shooting, I think if you look at the voting numbers here in the state of Florida, they only started to surge after all of that has happened.
So are you saying that we're going to see a different result other than some of the public polling?
Absolutely, no question. And
Tram?
Well, I think the blue wave, if you will, certainly the House of Representatives are the closest elected officials to the people. And I do think there's a mood in the country to reverse that. And we'll probably see that. I don't think we'll see that in Florida in our congressional delegation. And I think Vern Buchanan will easily.
But isn't this just the dynamic of Trump, the idea that nothing is safe? We're always kind of in this touch and feel go space where all the ground is uncertain. You just never know which direction a person's going to go. And I think a lot of people, probably even never Trumpers, as you mentioned, they're probably walking into the polls tomorrow with the utmost desire to vote for Gillum, but when it comes down to it, they're going to pull that trigger for DeSantis, and that's just the uncertainty that Trump has brought to us. You love the guy, you hate the guy, there's no in between.
Oh, I think you can't argue with the economic numbers that we see in the state of Florida in terms of the issues related to safety and security. I think people will go in that vote. It's a secret ballot, so we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Anna Navarro from CNN, who's engaged to the Republican chairman of the state of Florida, came out yesterday with a big article about her public endorsement of Andrew Gillum. And I think it's those kinds of things that help Republicans go, no, and I'm not going to do it again. We're going to stop Donald Trump.
You mentioned Tram, hold on one second. You mentioned the economic numbers, but that's not what the president is running on. He's running on immigration and the caravan. Former President Obama said the other day, what is on the ballot is the nation's character. So there are a lot of things to boast about in terms of the economy, but Americans are more divided. The political atmosphere is worse than any time in my lifetime. And is that going to hurt Republicans running for office in Florida?
I also don't think people feel safe either.
I think in terms of national, like the Congress, I think we'll see a shift in the House of Representatives. Remember, a lot of those are local. All politics is local, and you'll see a shift there. I think the Senate will remain in Republican hands, and frankly, will gain probably 2 seats.
But Dan, that brings us back to my initial point. Again, around the country, you're seeing Republicans in Trump districts by 20 fighting for their very lives today. And in Florida, whether you look at the congressional district around here in this part of the state, or in Florida, where the Democrats were supposed to, those districts in Florida, Hillary Clinton won, but you have a Republican incumbent. Yeah. And it's not a lock that the Democrats are going to win down in Miami now.
No, and I think that comes down to the idea of the Republican parties being in power here, and specifically the governor's mansion for 22 straight years. They've done a great job of kind of constructing and redistricting districts in order to favor themselves and create an idea of this hotbed areas that they have. So I think when you look at what the Republican Party's been able to do over the last 2 decades, they're creating their own luck. It's not an anomaly that the rest of the country's going one way and Florida's going another. It's by design.
But Tram, I wanted to ask you this question because there are so many retirees who live around here and in South County. There was a story that came out today in the Wall Street Journal, of all places, that donors who identify their occupation as retired gave 52% of their $326 million to Democrats, 48% to Republicans. I mean, that's kind of unusual.
I would say that's pretty unusual. But I think the Democrats have used this time to actually outraise Republicans. But it's not all the time about the money. And we'll see.
Go ahead, Rita.
This is an election about the people and the movement that Andrew Gillum has created here in the state of Florida. And that's, you know, we've got electricity going into Election Day.
So the next question is, where does this extend? If Mayor Gillum pulls this out, if Senator Nelson does well, you know, I've said before that this year has been totally different in terms of the Democrats running for the State House, State Senate, an impressive crop, and they all debated on this broadcast here. Are we going to see Democrats picking up these legislative seats?
I do not see the Florida legislature flipping in this race. I think the House of Representatives remains in Republican hands, as does the state Senate. And remember, in the state of Florida, we have a weak governor's office. Shares power with 3 other members of the state cabinet, the CFO, the Attorney General, and the Ag Commissioner. And you have to share leadership for the state with that. And then with the legislature being in Republican hands, even if Andrew Gillum wins, I think his agenda will be nixed.
I would argue that point. I think that the governor is very powerful here in the state of Florida. I think that the line veto pen is exceptionally powerful. He's going to have complete redistricting on his hands come year 4. He's going to be able to appoint 3 Florida Supreme Court judges. He's going to have over 4,000 appointments to port authorities, to airports. So if Gillum wins, it's more than just House legislator.
But if you look at the executive office of the governor, the number of the branches of the government that he controls is very few.
All right, so, but let's get back to some of these.
Let's talk about the races.
Yeah, we'll get back to it. Let's talk about the Sarasota races.
I mean, so where do we see the races, not only on the Suncoast with all these terrific candidates, but Dan, you've been watching the races in the Tampa area. One particular state Senate race, Janet Cruz, the House Minority Leader, I mean, she's raised an incredible amount of money that we have not seen before in state house races.
Yeah, no, she's facing off against incumbent Dana Young right now, and Dana Young is a very powerful, very capable, very important voice in the Florida Senate chambers up in Tallahassee. Dana Young's raised $7 million. Janet Cruz has raised $4 million, and this is for a state Senate seat, not even a
that pays
U.S. Senate seat.
$28,000 a year.
Exactly. Right. So there is power there, and Janet Cruz has run a very good campaign. Dana Young's run a very good campaign, but I do think that the national tone has really put its thumb on every single type of race that you will see.
You know, it made huge news around here, Rita, last spring when Margaret Good won the special election in House 72 here. She's in a strong position, competitive race against Ray Pilon here. But what are you seeing in terms of these local races? Not what you hope to happen, but what you think might happen.
The strategy of the Democrats this election was to get seats filled with really competent, diverse set of candidates, and we have really done that in the state of Florida. And what we're building is a farm team that we really need. So we're really excited about our local candidates. We've got Tracy Pratt, we've got Liv Coleman, we've got a host of, Wesley Beggs, who's this brilliant 26-year-old young woman who's running for county commission, Ruta Gianari. So I think that we're accomplishing a whole lot in this election.
Can I just comment? When I was chairman of the party, I used to kid folks that here in the state of, or in the county of Sarasota, we have mostly Republicans, and there's only one office that the Democrats hold, and that's Barbara Ford Coates as a tax collector, which we thought was an appropriate position for a Democrat. But I believe we will hold all Republican seats in Sarasota County. I think if you watch
House 72?
Is that the Margaret Good? Yeah. Boy, howdy. The Democrats have Margaret Good spent $487,000 on her campaign on this reelection by Friday against Ray Pilon's $137,000. I think it will be a very close race. But I think the bellwether race, really, you want to talk about whether it's going to be a good night or a bad night, is Joe Gruder's Senate race. His Senate district was carried by Donald Trump by 16 points. If Joe Gruder's wins by 20 points, it'll be a great day for Republicans. If Joe Gruder's wins with only 10% margin, it's going to be a long night for Republicans.
So
And that would be the race to watch.
So I want to go back to Margaret Good's special election, because the thing that really put Margaret Good over the top was Republican women voted for her in very large numbers, and they're not abandoning her. So the reason I feel really strong about Margaret Good is that she is holding her popularity. She's very competent, and people really do like what she's got to do,
Right,
what
we
she's
have to
doing.
take another short break. We'll be back for final thoughts in a moment, so stay with us.
It's rainy season on the Suncoast. Storms can pop up at a moment's notice. Sometimes it's just rain. Sometimes it's much worse. When severe weather strikes, trust ABC7 First Alert Weather. We're here for you.
You like to pay less. That's why you made Honda Accord the best-selling midsize car in America. Get the redesigned Accord, the North American Car of the Year, or Civic, a KBB.com Best Buy for less than the competition. Like SUVs and trucks? Get Motor Trend's SUV of the Year, CRV, the 8-passenger Pilot, or Ridgeline truck for up to $4,240 less today at your local Honda dealer.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Blue 32, Blue 32, hut hut! It's the Ghetto Gridiron Challenge. The game's on to sell 2,000 vehicles. 12 teams compete for the #1 spot. Score a great deal at every Ghetto dealership. Buy with 0 down. Make no payments for 90 days. Choose from 14 of your favorite brands, all on sale. Who will make it to the end zone? You decide. Rush to a Ghetto location near you or visit Ghetto.com.
Ghetto's got it.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News.
How cell phone radiation could be linked to brain cancer in HealthSmart.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
And our guest joining us right now for final thoughts. Dan, what are you looking for tonight? Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, I'm looking to see if the Democrats can just pull out one seat. One seat's all they need. They just need to win the governor's mansion. That's all they have to do with Andrew Gillum. Andrew Gillum can then put into motion and rebuild the Democratic Party from the ground up. He can totally recalibrate the machine in Tallahassee. And if they make that one victory, to me, the Democratic Party won the night.
I mean, that would be a pretty historic win here, but it's not exactly a blue wave. You're not seeing a blue wave in Florida.
Well, it might be a blue wave, but I do think that let's not call it a moral victory if they just get Gillum.
Rita?
I think it's a blue wave. I just want to say to your viewers, if you have a vote by mail ballot, you can still go vote tomorrow.
All right.
You can go to the polls, and you should.
But what are you looking for in terms of, Dan's point? Gillum really has a pretty good chance of winning tomorrow night, but
I think Gillum wins I think Gillum wins by 2 points. I think that Nelson and Scott are close, and Nelson pulls it out.
And
I think Nikki Fried wins too. Bragg.
And we didn't even mention the Attorney General's race, but
My view is that if Rick Scott is able to win by 4 points, I think he'll pull DeSantis into the governor's mansion.
He's not winning by 4.
But I
He's
really,
not winning by 4.
he may not. You never know.
But you know, correct me if I'm wrong. Rick Scott has not led in really any public poll
but the polls
recently.
are everywhere. They're all across the board.
It doesn't matter about the polls now. Now it matters looking at who's voted and who's going to vote tomorrow. That's the only thing that counts.
Right. Let's talk for a moment about the congressional race, Vern Buchanan against David Shapiro. I mean, this was one of the highlighted races in the country. A couple of public polls showed that Congressman Buchanan had a 9-point lead. Rita, what happened there?
With the yacht. Absolutely, when it came out that Vern Buchanan bought that $5 million yacht right after the tax break, I mean, it broke the race open.
Right.
And that, when you talk to anybody about the congressional race and you say Vern Buchanan, they go, oh, that $5 million yacht.
But since then, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee pulled back from their advertising around here.
They pulled back on their advertising in the last 2 days because 70
2 weeks.
David Shapiro has been on air up until the weekend, and that's because David stayed on air because 70% of the vote in Sarasota is already in.
Yeah, I think that Vern, over the time in office, has demonstrated that he has the best interests of the district, and I think the people will return him to Congress.
Okay, we want to.
Can we make one point though? I hope that your viewers will go all the way down the ballot. And those races like Charter Review Board and Hospital Board are important. I encourage.
And the ballot initiatives
and
from the
initiatives.
Constitution to local and city elections.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. We want to thank our guest, Tram Hudson, the former chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, Rita Ferrandino, the former chair of the Sarasota Democratic Party, and Dan Majori of News Talk Florida. When we return, right now, let's get a final check on our first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrington. Bob.
Well, it's good to see everyone else making predictions, instead of just me, right? We'll see how they turn out. I know we're going to see warm weather. I can guarantee you that throughout the rest of this week. Warm front now is continuing to move away from us, and we're in that warm sector, and that means temperatures will be above average. Our average high, 81 degrees, will be into the mid-80s throughout the week. It'll actually feel into the upper 80s due to the increased humidity. This front producing some light rain, a lot of clouds to our north, but not a lot of rough weather here. You can see we have a little East Coast breeze making it all the way over to the West Coast, and the West Coast is lined up right here. We could see a few spotty showers right here over the next hour or so. Typical of what you see in the summer is the two breezes meet and there's enough heat, you get an explosion of storms. We're not going to see an explosion, but one or two showers not out of the question as those two kind of collide right there along the border of Manatee, Hardy, DeSoto, and Sarasota counties. Boy, some rough weather tonight expected for northern sections of Louisiana tonight, also into western portions of Mississippi. This is a pretty strong cold front, but it's not going to blow on through here and cool us down anytime soon. But what it will do is produce some potential for rough weather. We're already starting to see that break out just on the southwestern edge there. And those storms will only get more intense, I think, as we push through this evening and during the early morning hours. Those are the toughest times for those tornadoes because you can't see them, obviously. And 76 degrees right now in Orlando. It's 76 in Sarasota. Temperatures really aren't going to be dropping all that much from this reading as a result of that high dew point, which is in the low 70s now. The Gulf water temperature at 78 degrees, and that's gone below that 80-degree threshold, which you need to have in order for hurricanes not to gain any strength. That's pretty marginal, though. That's right there at the border as far as that goes. Now, as far as water vapor, we have some moisture content in the atmosphere, in the upper levels of the atmosphere, so some high clouds not out of the question tomorrow. We may see some fog to start things off, low clouds on the ground, and then we'll see a mixture of sun and clouds throughout the day. As I mentioned, some high cirrus clouds streaming overhead at times. Here comes that next front. You can see it kind of coming down and then pulling up just to the north of us over North Florida and South Georgia. Some showers and storms expected along it. And then again, we'll see partly cloudy skies. Again, the patchy fog is not out of the question at all on both Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. And then you'll see the atmosphere starting to moisten up on Wednesday, but still temperatures into the mid-80s. One or two lone showers, also the possibility over the upcoming days, that chance at around 20%. 76 right now, the relative humidity at 91%. That's high. It's warm, it's muggy out there. It's certainly feeling like summer. The dew point temperature is also a summer-like reading at 73. The high today was 84. That's above average. 81 is our normal high for this time of year anyway. This morning's low was also running well above average at 70. Well, the national radar picture and satellite imagery showing a nasty day today throughout Illinois and now into Indiana and parts of Ohio. That's that low pressure area, which will continue to track off to the northeast, which could make for some tough voting weather tomorrow in Pennsylvania and New York and also the northeast. As far as temperatures go, currently it's pretty chilly across the Great Lakes into the 40s and 50s there. Kansas City, 49, pretty chilly there, and 55 in the nation's capital. Highs tomorrow will be at 69 in Washington, 59 in Cleveland, 41 in Minneapolis, and 28 in Minot, North Dakota. And south winds turn to the southwest at around 5 to 10 knots, so not much of a wind out there. Water temperature I mentioned into the upper 70s, and as far as the 7-day forecast goes, looking pretty good but warm through the next 4 days. All the way through Friday we'll be into the mid 80s, and then we start to cool down a little bit over the weekend, maybe getting back to near seasonal averages on Monday, and there's a potential for a stronger front next week, midweek. We'll have more coming up right after this.
My life motto is keep moving. And as hard as it was when my husband passed away, I knew I had to keep doing what I love. Oops, coming. But I needed help with my insurance, and that's what the NAIC provides. They have resources to help you and your family make the best decision, and they'll help you to keep moving forward, just like me.
A home can be much more than just a house. But for some of our neighbors, home means uncertainty and isolation. At Rebuilding Together, we turn houses into homes and revitalize our communities. Because a neighborhood is more than just houses and streets. It's familiar faces and open arms. Join the movement to ensure everyone can live in a safe home and community. Become a rebuilder today.
I used to dread getting up and going to work.
I was done with the corporate grind.
I was tired of being a starving artist.
And I started looking around for a business that I believed in, and I kind of wanted to do something a little more green.
My SCORE mentor helped me take the first step.
He helped me create a business plan and helped me implement it.
They've really taught me how to think big.
SCORE helped me to make the unimaginable possible, all for free. I'm here because of SCORE.
I'm here because of SCORE.
Get your free business mentor at score.org.
Every time you purchase a fishing license or register your boat, you're helping to preserve our nation's coastlines, lakes, rivers, and streams, protecting memories for generations to come. Learn how your participation in boating and fishing can help the environment at takemefishing.org/conservation.
Investigate TV tackles the tough topics.
What happened to my life was awful.
When your health is compromised, we investigate.
They are really drug dealers in white coats.
Corporate greed exposed.
How do you trust them to run this program?
The powerful held accountable with in-depth journalism led by award-winning journalist Lee Zurich. We're your watchdog. Search Investigate TV on your Roku device. Download it now.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blog, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining. ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
Checking primetime headlines, President Trump holding rally after rally ahead of tomorrow's midterm. And his main talking point, what else? Immigration. ABC's Kevin Travers has more from the White House.
Americans are feeling really good about the economy, but that's not the issue President Trump is focusing on as he makes his final sales pitch to voters. Instead, the president is looking to rally Republicans through fear. President Trump's midterm election closing argument centers on one key issue.
Immigration.
As the president wraps up his campaign trail blitz with stops Monday in 3 states he won in 2016, he's rallying his base with a dire message about a migrant invasion, calling it a national emergency, and painting a very dark image of what will happen if Democrats take control of Congress.
As we speak, Democrats are openly encouraging millions of illegal aliens to break our laws, violate our sovereignty, overrun our borders, and destroy our nation.
The president says the choice is clear.
If you want strong borders and safe communities, vote for the Republicans.
A new ABC News Washington Post poll found that more Americans say the economy is a more important issue than immigration in their vote for Congress. That same poll found that 65% of all Americans rate the state of the economy as good or excellent. But the president said this weekend that talking about the economy doesn't fire up his base.
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. But sometimes it's not as exciting to talk about the economy, right?
President Trump today told his supporters the stock market is strong and will continue to be strong so long as Republicans win. On Wednesday, the big question will be, was this a smart strategy of fear or a big mistake that cost Republicans control of the House? Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
NBC, Fox, and Facebook issuing separate statements today saying the three will no longer air a Trump campaign ad. Here's the first few seconds of that ad.
Please step out of the hallway. Break up soon, kill more.
The ad aims to motivate GOP voter turnout by vilifying migrants traveling through Mexico. It portrays migrants as invaders and criminals. Outraged viewers call the ad racist. It received immense backlash after airing during Sunday Night Football. NBC also announced the decision to pull the ad, first followed by Fox News. Facebook said they will no longer allow the Trump campaign to run the ad on its site because it violates the social network's advertising policy. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us, and go out and vote tomorrow.